If you're thinking about starting your own service business, then a big part of that business is going to be sales. And if this is your first time here, welcome back to the Security Bros. My name is Ken. This is James.
If you're starting a service-based business, you can't afford to be losing sales to the hands of shifty, tricks-wielding, scummy salesman type techniques. Today, we're going to be talking about how you can have a team of more genuine salespeople that are not going to scare your customers away, or at the very least, give them just a bad taste in their mouth for your business.
No one likes a bad taste in their mouth, dude. So how do people avoid putting this taste into the customer's mouth?
Personally, I think one of the biggest things is just being genuine. Customers can pick up on that whole fake, like, salesman vibe, like a bad fart. And
Heck
yeah. You don't want to be that guy.
You're not going to be the fart guy. You're not going to be
the fart guy.
You're not going to be the bad taste in the mouth guy. What guy are you trying to be? The genuine guy?
You're trying to be the genuine guy. Anyone who goes by the traditional like sales playbook, they're always trying to work some angle, work some tricks, trying to shove that sale in, get it today, sign on the dotted line. All they're trying to do is get you to give them money as soon as possible and as much as possible.
They use a script. And so those sales scripts, those methods, they do tend to be manipulative.
Yeah,
the entire goal is to end up at this destination. Mm-hmm. And so the entire script is scripted to get to that destination. And as you mentioned off camera, if you get off script, off the correct journey, all they listen for are maybe little clues and ways of getting you back into the right journey to end up at the destination that they want. What you're talking about with the whole genuine shtick is be something that customers are attracted to come towards instead of something that they want to run away from. Right. And most salespeople, they have this chasing thing where the customer is trying to get away and they're trying to chase the customer to dominate them, to wrap them into their web of lies, as you've said before, so that they can bring them in and make the sale. Yep. As opposed to being something that makes potential customers come in closer. Let's take two different women. And you got the one woman where she puts her perfume on so strong that you're like dying. You gotta get some space to have some air. So you don't need to get any closer to her. You can smell her like 10 feet away. And then you have another woman, she puts on the slight scent. And you're like, that smells kind of good. And so you want to get in a little closer for a little more whatever. Basically be the second woman. Right. Be the one where people want to come in for a closer sniff.
If all the sales tricks work, that all these salespeople clearly have been getting taught certain sales tricks, why wouldn't you do it? Well, logically, if it works, then why not, right? But also, on the other side of it, why would you want to get any customers by like tricking them into being your customer? I know all the salespeople are gonna get mad. They're like, we're not tricking them. We're just swindling them. Anyway, it's like, so first of all, it's just, ethically, why would, if you're using some weird tactics to like get the person, don't do that. Secondly, if the entire interaction with the customer is that of a very pleasant, a very positive experience, the customer feels like you met their needs, you provided value, you didn't try to like sell them stuff that they didn't need, they're gonna be way more enticed to tell their friends about you down the road than if they feel like they got manipulated into the sale. I have bought vehicles from car dealerships where I felt like the interaction, this is your classic car dealership interaction. But I bought the car, so they made the sale. But I would absolutely never tell anybody to go buy a vehicle from that dealership.
They weren't thinking about the sale that comes from the sale. Yeah, I was
Think about your future.
I was talking to a partner recently, and we were working on a sale together. I'm not that excited about this particular sale. What I'm excited about is any sales that come from the sale, because no one sale ever makes me rich. If we give them something great, which I know that if they buy what we have, they'll really like it, which means that they're going to refer it, which that actually can lead to a lot more money. You asked a second ago, if the tricks work, why not do them? A lot of times the tricks don't work, and that's why you don't do them. Now,
but they're making the sales, so they have to work.
They're making sales.
Okay.
They're not making as many sales as they could if they were great. You have a lot of customers that do need to be guided towards like the end result, because a lot of customers do get stuck in almost like a whirl. You know, you have like the river, and you have those parts of the river where they get stuck. It's like a whirlpool or whatever, and nothing gets out of it. It gets stuck in this circle. Sometimes they do need to be helped forward. Let's say you can help this guy make $1 million. If he buys your special product, it will help. Maybe it's like a marketing agency. Right. You know, if they use your marketing, you're going to bring them like $1 million worth of sales. But they have to get onto the platform. Once they do, they'll make a lot of money, but they're afraid because they have to invest $10,000 and they've never done this before, and they don't want to get in trouble and lose their job if they get swindled out of 10 grand or whatever their concerns are. There's something that's holding them back from starting this thing. But it's like the sooner you start, the sooner you make $1 million. And you know that it'll work for them, and you know that customers a lot of times are afraid to make this step. I'm not saying be manipulative, but it's okay to find a way to guide them there in the most comfortable fashion. So you're helping to get them. We call it hand-holding.
Well, oftentimes, what you said a moment ago made me think of this. Oftentimes, the customer is not an expert in whatever product that they're buying, whatever service you're providing them. Every once in a while, you'll have somebody who has some or even a decent amount of knowledge, but oftentimes they're not an expert in it. That's your job. That's our job, is to be an expert in it. Not to be a douchebag, but be an expert. Mm-hmm. Your job as the expert to guide them to where they need to be and educate them, but do it in a way that is real and that gives the customer confidence.
There are people that want to be sold. They're like, sell me. They're almost there, but they need you to sell them on it.
Right.
Now, I'm very cautious about this because that a lot of times sounds like advice. And I make it a point to really never give advice. Unless someone specifically says, can give me advice, even then, I'm very cautious about giving actual advice. So when people want to be sold, that can feel like giving out advice, like here's what you should do. But you can also sell people on the benefits of some system by explaining what life will be like with this system, whatever that system is.
Yeah.
It could be an electronic system, it could be your platform for something, it could be your service. Here's what life looks like with it. Here's what life currently looks like without it. Right. You currently have this problem, and I've said this in other videos, I don't sell products, I sell the end result. You're selling them what would happen with that product, as opposed to the product itself. As in, I don't say we're going to give you an 8-megapixel camera with this back box and this really great cabling and this really great like they don't care about the actual things. What they want to know is I'm going to be able to see when I have people loitering in front of my store. I can tell when I have people putting graffiti over there. I can get an alert when people are doing this, and I can have an alarm go off when someone breaks in, and I can tell if someone breaks my glass. We had this client a potential client, where they're thinking about getting a lot of cameras, almost 200 cameras for one location. Currently, the price of cameras are going up and up and up because these AI data centers are consuming a lot of chips, and I don't know if they're consuming the same chips that cameras use, or if they're just requiring more chips from chip manufacturers. Either way, cameras don't have enough chips. And I said, look, if you want to do this thing with the cameras now, we should make the move now. Like, we should get this approved. We should get your deposit so that we can buy the cameras now at the price that I quoted. If you wait a couple months, the quote will be expired.
So you're normally the salesman tricks and being a little bit of a pushy salesman.
Being a little pushy salesperson here. So what I said is, if you wait 2 months or 3 months, the cost of the quote will be expired and the cost of cameras will be up, and then you'll have to pay the difference in the cost of the new cost of the camera. Normally that wouldn't be a big deal, but when you're talking about almost 200 cameras, whatever that difference of cost is, $50, $100, $200 times almost 200 cameras, that ends up being very significant. If you're just window shopping, getting pricing, and you may not want to do anything for a couple years, you're probably fine, because this exact same thing happened after 2020 with the chip shortage. There was a chip shortage then, and the cost of security products went way up.
There's everything shortage then.
And then everything balanced out.
Yeah.
One of two things will happen. Either there will be more demand for chips, and therefore there will be more chip manufacturers, or this whole AI thing will balance out. The surge in chips will be done, and then just we'll go back to our normal need for chips, in which case the security cameras will come back down in price. Either way, there's a huge market for affordable security cameras, really great cameras that are affordable. And because of that market is so huge, there's going to be competition among camera manufacturers to meet that demand. Whoever's meeting the demand will make all the money, which is why the cameras, I really believe, will come back down. But in the short run, if the customer wants to do this, it's better to do it now.
I made a purchase recently where they were like, oh, you got to hurry up and we got to get the sale done a couple weeks before the end of the following month, because there's this government grant that can help pay for part of the install for whatever you're trying to buy. I bought the product. Currently, we are halfway through the following month, and I haven't heard nothing from them about receiving my product. It felt like a scummy sales thing to try to hurry up and get me to buy this product when I could have just taken my sweet time and decided if I wanted to buy it later, because clearly they weren't in a rush. Anyway.
They were interested in the sale now.
Yeah, they were.
But remember, I said earlier that to me, I'm never that interested in the sale in front of me. I'm interested in the 5 sales that come off that.
Right.
And with this particular client, I don't want to say you can either buy now or the deal is gone forever, because if I say that, then what happens when they're thinking, well, we have all these other properties that we were thinking of. I want them to understand that no, those properties can still be done probably for the price that we did this one for. And we already know they're not going to do all those properties right now.
Right.
They think ahead, they got the board meetings, they go through whatever. It'll take years to line those up. I want to get not just this location, I want to do this location, and I want to make them so happy with the system here that they say, let's copy and paste this to our other locations. Yep. In order for that to happen, we actually have to have a product that they like. So we can't scam them. It has to be something they actually like and they decide is worth all of the money they spend on it. If I tell them cameras are going to jump up to $1,000 a piece, after this month, they're going to be thinking, well, gosh, I won't be able to afford that at my other locations. I might even tank this sale because of it. And that's what a lot of salespeople don't think about, because they're only thinking one step in front of them.
So short-sighted. They shoot them, trying to get this sale, they shoot themselves in the foot for all potential future business.
This particular client, they flew in for this meeting on this location. It's multiple people have flown in for this meeting, and they have 1,000 other locations. They are thinking longer term themselves. They're thinking about all these other locations, and they're going to treat this one like a demo location for this new security platform. They were it's sometimes very hard to get these locations to do these upgrades, but if they have one that already has done it, they don't have to be the first one to do it. So it's not as scary.
Don't be afraid to tell somebody that they aren't a good fit. Don't just agree to a sale because it's a sale. If you sell something that is completely far outside of whatever your company is trying to do just to make some money now that company might have 1,000 other sites that want this one particular thing that you thought was a one-off, and now you're stuck either selling 1,000 more of them, or you're stuck saying, well, I'm sorry, I can't really help you because I don't actually really sell that. We do a security company, so we do cameras, alarms, access control, and intercoms, but then somebody comes and they're like, oh, can you install in those parking garages, all the little blue, the things that tell you, if a car is parked and how many spots are available. We could easily do it in our company. We're very proud of the core 4 things that we sell. So doing that would be chasing some money for a thing that's just totally outside of the normal flow of what our business does. Please, for the love of God, leave the desperation at home. You've met a desperate sales guy, right?
Yeah.
It's not good.
No, there's people that will literally say to the client, oh man, you don't want, but I spent all this time and I thought I was helpful. I thought I was helpful to you, and everything you ask, I answered. I don't understand
literally
why you don't want. It's
he went from this, oh, we're having a good time talking like this, till I told him I needed time to think about it, and he went to that and started pouting, and literally pouting. His face went all sad. He was talking about how he's I was like, I will never buy anything from you now. You literally, I was a maybe, and you went to a hard no. Maybe the most important for a lot of salespeople out there is listen, because I cannot tell you how many salespeople I've dealt with that I've told them my needs, and they just were like, yeah, that's cool, but whatever this other thing is. And I'm like, okay, so you don't care at all about what is actually going to solve my problem. Listen, actually listen.
The people that I work with, our tech partners, their sales training incorporates listening, but maybe not in the way that you would think. They contact you and they say, would you be interested in, maybe be interested in our product? Mm-hmm. And they always want to know what your pain points are. So they get you to talk and they do listen. And then they say, James, so is it fair to say that currently it sounds like AI, it sounds exactly the way AI, when you get an AI question. Already. So they say, James, is it fair to say that you have 5 issues right now? Their whole goal is to make a pitch for the product in a way of how it solves your 5 problems, which kind of makes sense. Like, why would you describe one that's solving some problem you don't have? Right. So maybe it's a CRM. Like this happened with me. I said, well, our CRM does not handle quoting, and I would like it if it could handle quotes. So when they did their sales presentation, they focus on the part where it can do a quote. So they will listen for the sake of making their presentation, which sounds good, but sometimes it can sound like they missed the spirit in which the problems existed versus like they're just looking for bullet point problems.
It's almost like they're an AI and they're listening for the prompt to activate the next line that they were programmed to say. I'm not talking about that.
Right.
That's what you're describing. Yeah, I'm talking about somebody who genuinely listens, and then maybe I should add this as a thing is treat your customer like a human. Like when you're talking to them, like, you know, if we're talking and I'm like, we're talking about dinner, you know, options. And I'm like, I don't know, I'm kind of in the mood for something spicy with like some crunch to it. And you're like, so is it fair to say, James, that blah, 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 blah. You know, it's like, no, you'd be like, oh, okay, you want to go for like, you know, like some spicy fried chicken or something like that? I'd be like, yeah, okay. So like that's a normal interaction. It's not this weird like programmy type, you know what
it's
I'm
more
saying?
like if you said, I want to try something new. I haven't had Taco Bell or Olive Garden recently. Mm-hmm. You mentioned a few examples of things you haven't had. Okay. And then I come back and say, so James, it sounds like what your problem is that you haven't had Taco Bell or Olive Garden recently. And your problem isn't specifically that, but that's the examples you gave. And so now I just grab onto those and say like, okay, so if I can show you a way to get you Taco Bell and Olive Garden, you know, would you buy this thing? And you're kind of like that. Taco Bell and Olive Garden, those are examples. They aren't really my problem. Right. It's like that, because you give some specific examples. Instead of using those to get a picture of your problem, they just use the examples as the problem themselves. Right. And then they're stuck on that. They're just listening for pain points that they can, versus the overall generalized problem. And here's the thing, if you have generalized problems, why don't you give this video a thumbs up so we know, and share it so your friends know. Bye.